Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to our Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to our 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi, and I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube, TikTok and the various groups from around the world. I say TikTok because most of our features on TikTok goes viral thanks to Dr. Singh, who's going to get a whack-in after the satsang. Nevertheless, this is how the Guru operates. Encourages, whacks, does everything in one. Dr. Singh? Yeah, I think we're trending. I think everything we do trends because the Sri Narayan Dham are trendsetters. If you are principled in life, and if you do not exchange your principles in life for whatever life tries to deceive you with, then you naturally become a trendsetter. And this was acknowledged last week. Despite my image being dragged to the mud a few months ago, last week we had a man that came who I met God-incidentally here at the ashram. Never expected to see any of those Dasheen members ever again in my life. 90% of them are late. Their children are surviving as town Dasheen kids. I even smacked a good few of them around in my lifetime. So, when my credentials was endorsed last week, it was God that sent Keith down here to verify, because I've been telling you over the years, when I walked down Warwick Avenue, things came graveyard silence. Even there was more noise in the graveyard. And here's a man that verified himself. I only met him here maybe after 30 years, 35 years. I was young, I was 24, 25. I became principled as soon as I realized what the word principle means. I was an avid reader. By Standard 5, I had read all the James Hadley Chase books. Standard 5. By Standard 1, I had read all the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. I read all the Tom Clancy's. I read everything there is to be read. I understand what principle means. I used to complete all my assignments by April, May in school. So I understand what principle means. But understanding principles is not enough. Living within the principles is what counts. Here and there, for survival, I may have bent a few millimeters here and there for the sake of my survival, my family's survival, or the survival of my community. And that is only natural. But 99.99999% of the time, I lived within the parameters of principle. And these events that you see at the ashram, these are not ordinary events. Otherwise it would be happening at every ashram, everywhere in the world. These events are happening because this ashram is endorsed by the Supreme Lord. And this is why we are unique and we are trendsetters in all that we do. I have not copied any ashram, not even my own Guru's ashram. The invocation you hear here is unique to the Sri Narayan Dham. And if you go to Guruji's ashram in India, you'll see that his invocation is different. Our uniqueness is that we are fresh, because spirituality is fresh. Spirituality is ever fresh. Again, I want to impress that principle is the key to human survival. You have to be principled. Don't change when the weather changes. If your principle is winter, then winter must remain through summer, autumn, and spring. And this is what Holi is about. Holi is about bringing you from ignorance, which is unprincipled living, into divinity, which is principled living. So we need to get a bit scientific here. And again, this explanation that I'm unpacking, you won't find on Google. And you won't find it uttered by any other guru, because we are fresh and we are trendsetters. We are transcendental. We see beyond what can be seen. We hear beyond what can be heard. And we speak beyond what can be spoken. So when we say we are trendsetters, we must scientifically prove it to you. So ignorance, when the word ignorance is used, what color comes to your mind? What color comes to your mind when we use the word ignorance? Black? Black. And the current antagonist who is attacking our ashram, what color does he always dress in? Is this scientific or not scientific? Did I make him wear black? Did God make him wear black? His ignorance is making him wear the color of his being, which is black. Is that one scientific proof? Anywhere you see him, he's dressed in a satanic black outfit, and most of the time with a vial and name. His name indicates who he is. Yes or no? So black is the mother of ignorance. I'm giving you a description of, or an understanding of, Holi. Now, ignorance is black. Coming out of ignorance is what color? White. White. What color does white reflect? What colors does white reflect? All the colors of the rainbow. What color does white reflect? All the colors of the rainbow. Have you got your rainbow colors on your table outside, Jessica? Yes, So what does white signify? Divinity. What does black signify? Ignorance. You all seen it like how the Guru is seeing it now. I'm saying this has not been discussed anywhere. You won't find it on Google. But when white reflects all the colors of the spectrum, it gives you a rainbow color. It is positive energy. And what does black do? Why is black ignorant? No, because it absorbs all the colors. It absorbs all the colors. There's no reflection in black. Is there any reflection in black? Black is black because it absorbs every other color that is connected to it. And white reflects every color that is in it. So by reflecting the color, positive energy is being circulated, and by absorbing all the colors, the energy is neutralized. Yes or no? Are you understanding? So this is what Holi is about. The spectrum of colors. Humanity enjoying the spectrum of colors. And when you enjoy the spectrum of colors, when you see black, where you normally see black? Death. Black is death personified. Yes or no? And when you see colors, you all heard years ago Amitabh singing Ranga Barase. It's raining colors. It's raining colors. When colors rain, what is the feeling in your soul? What is the color? What is the feeling in your soul? Yes, and when you see black during load shedding, what feeling do you have? Rita is giving the best descriptions of negativity. Yes, and I get angry when you came late today to cook at the ashram. Yes, it's called Guru Whack-in. It's called Guru Whack-in. Everybody get whacked. Whether you do 100% or do 1%, you need to get whacked. Premila, when last you got whacked? She remembers the last whacking because it's still stinging. So last week we set in motion Holi, practically. We brought the colorful nation of South Africa, we brought the rainbow nation of South Africa in one single point. Was it not colorful? Did you not feel something that you could not identify with? Was there not a feeling in every single one of you that you all have transcended something, but you can't point your finger? Yes? There's no words in the English vocabulary to express when all cultures come together, all traditions come together, all religions come together. Last week we had Xhosa, we had Sotho, we had Basotho, we had Swazi, we had San, we had Khoi, we had Griqua, we had Hindu, we had Tamil. I don't know if there's any Muslim, Christian, Gujarati in one small ashram like this. As our antagonist stated, this ashram is so small that it only has 10 people and 4 is his family. But in this small ashram, we squeezed the whole of South Africa and Southern Africa. Yes or no? Yes. So transcendentally, you cannot quantify the potency of this ashram. Yeah, physically you can say only 20 people are here, only 10 people are here. But transcendentally, one cannot quantify the potency of the Sri Narayan Dham. So that set in motion, last week Sunday, set in motion the celebration of Holi, which was celebrated around the world. And we are so thankful to the Supreme Lord to live in a country where we can take the teachings of the Vedas and make it a reality. This is oneness in motion. This is oneness in action. This is social cohesion. What does social cohesion mean? It means bringing society together, not in word and not on some platform, on the ground, on the ground. And last week was unique. We even had the Zulus. So we had almost everything in the South African menu in terms of race, culture and tradition. Everybody was at the Sri Narayan Dham. And this is trend setting. This is a world first. No ashram can claim anywhere in the world this experience that we experienced last week. Yes? All of you understand? So this is a function of a guru in the Sri Sampradaya, because right at the outset, our Adi Guru, our first Guru of whole of Sanatan Dharma, Lord Sri Ramanuj is the Adi Guru of the entire Sanatan Dharma. He is the first Guru of the entire Sanatan Dharma. Amita, somebody on TikTok wanted to know why does the Guru repeat himself. I repeat myself because transcendental knowledge takes long to permeate the eardrum of materialistic people. So if I say 3 or 4 times, it means I'm using a welding torch in your ear and I'm holding the torch 3 times. Can you get the vision? Holding a torch 3 times in your ear so that I can fill in the information. This is why I repeat myself, because as I'm discoursing, I know who's dreaming, who's thinking about tomorrow, who's thinking what happened yesterday. So I repeat myself for the person who is not concentrating. Rita, are you concentrating? Okay, Rita is trying. So sometime I have to repeat myself just for Rita because she's trying to concentrate. Yes, and that's a relationship that the Guru likes. Direct honesty. And on that note, I want to wish one of the ashram's children recovery from a health facility. The Supreme Lord has intervened, and when the Lord intervenes, there is no mountain that cannot be climbed. But everything goes with a set of principles And anything we do in life, when it comes to God, must not be haphazard. If we take God haphazardly, He will take us haphazardly. If we take Him absolutely, He will take us absolutely. And I'm saying this with love, and I'm asking you to follow suit. Anytime you come to this ashram, what you see me doing? Anytime you come to this ashram, what you see me doing? You see my age? Because I take the God, I take the Supreme Lord absolutely serious. And this is why I sacrifice this whole body to serve the Supreme Lord. And I do not need to serve the Supreme Lord. I do not need to physically serve the Supreme Lord. I have 3 boys and I have capacity to hire another 3 boys every day. Why do I still go and work manually myself? Why? Because I'm teaching you to serve the Lord. And if I'm teaching you to serve the Lord, I must serve the Lord 100 times harder than you. Am I doing that on a daily basis? So this is what I call principles. This is what I call principles, because the only thing in life that can give you credentials is principles. Only thing in life that can give you credentials is principles. You have to live in principles. And I'm looking at Sherwin. When Sherwin was 13 years old, I was not living with Mataji. We were divorced. And he came to me and he said, "Dad, I don't know you. Because for 10 years, you and Mummy separated. I need to know you. Mummy's family only said bad things about you. But I need to know as your son who you are." So I said, "Don't worry, my boy. Let's traverse the path that your father walked and listen to the people that your father associated with." So I took him to town. I had a business in town in many bus taxis. I worked in town as a policeman. I also lived in town. And when Sherwin walked with me, they told him exactly what Keith said last week. Your father commanded respect. Yes, Sherwin? I took him a crisscross of Durban, and then I also took him to the police headquarters where my files are kept. And I told that man who's in charge of the files, I said, "This is my son. We had separated in 10 years. He doesn't know the credentials of his father." So he opened the files and he showed him the thickness, and he said, "Very few policemen got files so thick." Dana, you agree? Most of the policemen 5 or 6 pages, me about 5,000 pages. Okay? So this is why principle is so important, because later your credentials can come forth through principles. You have to be principled in what you are doing. And principles is a spiritual attribute. Principles is a spiritual attribute. God is not interested in fire walking God is not interested in pulling kavadi. God is not interested in making 1,000 halwa puris. God is not interested in you doing yoga. God is not interested in all these funny things. God is interested in the character. God is interested who you are in that heart. Sanatan Dharma is not a religion. Sanatan Dharma is the principles that is embedded in your heart. You can do 1,000,000 havans. If your heart is black, no connection to the Supreme Lord. No connection to the Supreme Lord. You can fast every day of your life. You can become a vegetarian. If your heart is black, no connection to the Supreme Lord. If you are selfish, no connection to the Supreme Lord. If you are not a humanitarian, no connection to the Supreme Lord. You can make the biggest frames and keep in your house. You can read all the mantras that are contained in the Vedas. If your heart is black, you are lying to yourself. You're wasting energy. Don't be a gossiper. Don't be a scandalizer. Don't talk behind people's back. Don't undermine other people's progress in life. These things are roadblocks to the divinity of the Supreme Lord in your life. Only worry about yourself. Keep qualifying yourself. How principled am I? How much of humanity I have in my heart? How much of humanity I have in my heart? What am I doing for others? Not what others are doing for me. When Mataji, myself and Sean went to India in 2013, we only went for Guru Purnama. We only went for Guru Purnama. We did not know anything else. But when we were instructed by G.S. Bawa that we need to come to South Africa and open an institution immediately we relinquished material life. And the people that suffered most, and they continue to suffer, were my 2 children. I sacrificed my children for the children of the world. I sacrificed my children for the children of the world. You can ask Sherwin. He gave a speech in 2018. He said, we are in this condition because my father don't have 5 minutes for us. Yet the children of the devotees and the devotees, he can spend hundreds and hundreds of hours. There's a discourse that was flighted when I was in India in 2018. This is principles because we took oaths. We took oaths that when we come back to South Africa, we need to do certain things. And we undertook those things in the most stringent conditions, where Mataji had to go work for a minimal amount of money so we could cook food for 4 satsangs 4 times a week. She had to go to work in a taxi, and we were owning Mercedes and Jaguars, you understand? But when the mission came, she had to take a taxi and go to work so that we could supply food in the 4 satsangs that we were doing. And as we began, the relationship between our children and ourselves began to deteriorate because they could not understand how we could take our entire life and focus it on people. All of you understand? It was because we took oaths and we had to live through the principle of those oaths that today we have an ashram which no one can quantify. If you had to get a quantity surveyor, he will tell you this ashram is in the millions. If you have to get a quantity surveyor and let him tick off all that has been done, but nobody can put the finger where the millions came. Because when you put God first, when you can sacrifice your own for others, when you can sacrifice your own for others, then the Supreme Lord will take care of yours. When you can sacrifice your own for others, then the Supreme Lord will take care of yours. Do you understand? Is it not practical? Can you see it? Is it here? And those older devotees, they'll know. Vasan, Dana, Jessica, they'll know all the problems we had going forward. How my children suffered in various parts of their lives. They suffered. It doesn't mean to say if you're a guru, then your children's life are plain sailing, because we had to take. Some of you must be thinking how I embrace my 2 grandchildren when they come to satsang, how I allow them to sit on my lap. Is I only see them at satsang. That's my only relationship. I'm busy doing work. I'm busy from Monday to Saturday. Look at the projects outside. Look around the ashram. That's the only time I have with my grandchildren, is when they come to satsang. That is a sacrifice. You understand? And I'm sure God will forgive me if I am breaking any protocols. When my grandchildren desire to come and sit on my lap during satsang, can I not accept? You understand? And also, I have a fear. Look, I have 2 beautiful children in the front there. I had over 100. I embrace them like my grandchildren. But every now, do you see them here? Can you imagine the hurt I go through when the parents take them away? You understand? And this is why, to prevent myself from being hurt, I keep aloof. But I still give them everything. If these children dress so beautifully to come to satsang, their parents dress them so beautifully to come to satsang, what it means? It means the children themselves are dragging the parents to satsang because they have found something here that they cannot explain in words. Spirituality need not be explained in words. So this Holi, I don't want to give you the story of Holika. You all already know it. Story of Holika won't help you when you go home. But if you remember the word principles, don't go and think it is very difficult, Premila. You don't have to become a school principal. That is with the P-A-L. This principle is the P-L-E. You become your own headmaster. You become your own headmaster and teach yourself principles. Become your own P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L and teach yourself P-R-I-N-C-P-L-E-S. Easy? Easy? Okay. I want to explain last week. So you met Prince Slatikulu. Have you all met Prince Slatikulu? He gave the speech. His mother was Kaur, Kaur Singh. Kaur Singh. She was the military commander of APLA. You all heard of APLA? She was the military commander of APLA. She was a Sanatan Dharmi. She got married to the prince dad, King Slatikulu. They met in India through her father, and she was sent to South Africa to defend this country against the oppressors. Can you believe a brave Indian woman? How brave you think she was if she was the commander of APLA, and APLA was the foremost liberation army of Southern Africa. APLA was the foremost liberation army of Southern Africa, and my sister was the commander-in-chief. My sister was the commander-in-chief. This is deliberately forgotten in our history. This is deliberately forgotten in our history. And at this point, I'm not going to mention any name, although Prince mentioned a name, because I'm going to go into a negotiation behind. Not everything is going to be, I'm not a social media guru. So not everything is going to be on social media. For the benefit and protection and greater good of what I am doing, certain things will be publicized, other things will be negotiated in the background until it is necessary to bring everything to the fore. So the prince's mum and dad were beheaded by an instruction of somebody who is still alive today. By an instruction of somebody who is still alive today, and there is a forest between Greytown and Pongola which belonged to the Sun Nation. Which belonged to the Sun Nation, and there was a conflict, and in that conflict, remember, traditionally, kings and queens went in the forefront, and when a king or queen was deceased, then the war was won. You understand? So both the king and queen were beheaded in the 1980s. The prince was 4 years old. He was adopted by foster people until his people informed him of his true existence. His elders suggested to him, to win this truth, you have to get your master's in theology and as a historian. And the prince has got his master's in theology and history. He has evidentially traced his bloodline back to his mum and dad, and nobody in this world can dispute that. Nobody in this world can dispute that. And this is after due process. I met the prince 3 times and I had hundreds of hours of discussions with him, and I verified at a historical level, at a scientific level, at a religious level and a spiritual level that the prince is who he stated he is, his mum is who he stated she is, his dad is whom he stated he is. It was then I decided to draw up a memorandum of agreement and assist the king, the prince, because everybody that he went to, they did not move 1 millimeter. And in that 4 or 5 weeks that I met the prince, we moved hundreds of kilometers. All of you understand? So this is the relationship between the ashram and the crown prince of the Sun nation, Slatikulu, of the king. Okay? And the ashram went into an agreement where we will be involved in taking the ashes of Kaur Singh to India and of getting the prince crowned as the king of the Slatikulu kingdom. So on the 15th of April, Jessica, is it 15th? Yes, there was a king seated here. You'll notice the king that was seated here? Yes. So he has been illegitimately issued a kingship, and we asked him to withdraw that kingship and become a chief, because his real title is chief. At any given time in any monarchy there can only be one king, and the only surviving prince at this point in time in terms of the Sun nation is Prince Slatikulu. And this is the most honorable man you're going to meet on this earth. You know Jessie Duarte, she's late now. She made a recommendation with Cyril Ramaphosa to co-opt our prince into the national parliament. But his chiefs were refused recognition. His chiefs were refused recognition. So the prince decided not to accept that offer. And there's a lot of money parliamentarians earn. I think about 100,000 a month. I don't know, Jessica? 400. Okay. Okay. So I'm not sure, Jessica, but
it's about 400.
Okay. So this is the amount of money Prince Slatikulu refused because the chiefs of his nation were not embraced in this deal. Is this not an honorable man? He is not employed fully anyway. He is sitting with, I think, 2 master's degrees. He is battling to move from place to place. But he refused that money because he has principles. This is called principles. And this segment, Hemita, you must share it with the prince. This segment of the prince. So that his people on the WhatsApp group, and I stated last week that when the prince signed the memorandum with the Sri Narayan Dham, he made me the bus driver. He mandated me to be the bus driver to drive his initiative forward. If there are anyone that is opposing what the prince is doing, then they should leave this WhatsApp group. They should form their own groups and do their own things. We do not need advisors. I do not need any advisors. I formed a steering committee last week together with the Memorandum of Understanding, and I'm not going to be advised by anyone because it's not mandated in our MOA. This bus, the destiny of this bus is to make the prince king. The destiny of this bus is to make the prince king legitimately, and to make all the chiefs through the bloodline legitimate chiefs. That is the destiny. Once prince reaches this destiny, then the steering committee will dissolve itself and they can elect through their own nation infrastructure and legal parameters on how they are going to function. But until that is not reached, the steering committee will remain in place, and I nominated Dr. Fredericks to chair this steering committee up until this destination. So as always, you all heard of the terminology third force. As always, anything we do, there's always a third force that want to bring it down. And I explained on that WhatsApp group, there is only one force here, the first force. And the first force is the Supreme Lord. And when there is only one force, the first force, there's no place for the third force. So yesterday I had the honor in meeting the prince's wife, and she took blessings from the ashram as a wife of a husband who follows a guru, and the prince is ready to take initiation and marry Sanatan Dharma with the Sun community. And his wife was a bit reluctant because she said, I don't know how my husband is going to stop eating meat. She smiled. She smiled at the prince because of his love for meat. And then I shot her down, as I usually do. Because as I said, I'm an acharya. An acharya practices first and then instructs. So I asked her, I told her that there is a butcher up the road who will verify that Prince is a small boy when it comes to guru and eating meat. Because the guru should eat half a sheep a week. It used to come with 8 parcels. Mataji was not allowed to give me chicken, fish, prawns. I will get upset. Fried eggs, I will get upset. Meat must be cooked for breakfast, lunch and supper. So I asked the prince, where you come in here? And he realized he's a small boy when it comes to him and the guru consuming meat. And I'm sure that that will be a guiding principle for the prince to stop eating meat. But I have another reason. I have a genuine reason. A genuine reason to make the prince my disciple. And I told Vishwadhar already, my chairperson, that I'm also going to include the prince in the Acharya Sham Ramanuj Foundation, so the prince can teach natural born Sanatan Dharmis. Natural born Sanatan Dharmis, how to take initiation. I only know him 6 or 7 months. I only know him for 6 or 7 months. Okay? So he will be teaching. He'll be my foremost disciple. And he'll be a king. A king will be teaching Sanatan Dharmi disciple how to become a true bona fide disciple. You all like it? Some of you are embarrassed by it? Very embarrassed, Mama? You wasted your time buying the teeth, Mama. All that money down the drain. The prince will show you how you don't need teeth. Because everything in vegetables does not require teeth. Okay, are there any questions? Are you all happy that we amalgamated last week with such a beautiful nation? Can you imagine the king agreed last week, who was nominated as a king fraudulently? He agreed in principle last week that he is going to relinquish that post. And this is why we are going to the Eastern Cape, to Mount Fletcher. We are going there to sign a MOA where he legally relinquishes that fraudulent kingship and accepts a lower ranking of that of a chief. This is the reason for our journey on that side. He may change his mind as time goes on, but last week whilst he was at the ashram, he gave the date and he was eager to do so. And I think if he does this, I will do everything that is in my potency to make sure that this man is taken care of in every aspect of his life. As soon as he reached home, he gave me a WhatsApp informing me, Guru, I have reached home. And he is in conversation with me. His chief phoned me and took blessings to protect his farm. He took blessings from me to protect his farms. And I want to end by saying that I didn't know the name Guru will be spoken in so many different expressions. So they call me Gura, they call me Gur, and they call me Gurukul. But it's there and it's with love. This is the first time in the history of Sanatan Dharma where the consciousness of a guru has permeated another nation with so much of love, so much of friendship, and so much of understanding. I'm sure everyone, and I'm greeting all the San and the Khoi people that were here last week, I'm greeting them, and I'm sure everyone is missing being at this satsang today. So the prince again will put shame to all of you. He's busy learning Hindi. Yesterday he had to speed from here to Marisburg, and I had to speak to his Hindi school teacher just in case he was late. And I'm sure she's very, very cheeky because the prince was really Although his wife came from Cape Town, he was really speeding to make sure he is on time. Rita, the word on time. Punctual, yes. You got it. And we also got it, Rita. Because one day when you fighting and I'm fighting, and I know Rita is the Maha of a Mahakali, then I got this evidence, what Rita said herself. You have to be on time and punctual. So I'll play this recording when we're fighting, Rita. So I want to wish you all a very happy Holi. And the most scientific aspect of Holi, and from next year we're going to do it multiracial. The most scientific aspect of Holi is that when you smear each other, everyone becomes one. And this is our mission, oneness. When you smear all the color on everyone, everyone has the same identity. And this is the absolute significance of Holi. Jai Sri Narayan.